Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Legacy of the Duelist on Rocket Commentaries. And in this episode, Yusei got sent to prison because he was dueling with Jack Atlas, and I don't actually know why he got sent to prison for that. It's kind of weird. Anyway, this is Tenzin. Tenzin is going to be a friend of ours going forward. He's got a relatively minor role in Season 2. But, yeah, the colored marker that you see on Yusei's face there is not actually a scar. It is tracking ink that the Sector Security is able to use in order to hunt down Yusei should he ever escape from prison, which is not a thing that's going to happen. But we are going to get released from prison this part. So, hey, Bolt. Bolt's an asshole, but he becomes less of an asshole after we beat him in this duel. So.
We duel here out of respect. If you want respect,
Nigeria Beast,
you gotta earn it.
The Nichurias. I actually really enjoyed the Nichuria stun deck for a while. I never actually got a fully realized version of it, but I was able to sit on Beast and Barkion for a while, and that's realistically all you really needed for at least casually. This, yes, as Annotation Gurdette mentions here, this duel is actually a pain in the ass to win because Bolt, on a regular basis, brings out a Beast Warrior monster that's got a Horn of the Phantom Beast equipped to it, and from there, Yusei desperately needs the ability to deal with Horn of the Phantom Beast in order to bring out Emez the Infinity. The plan for this deck specifically is to use Emez the Infinity to very slowly build up a monster that Bolt cannot run over, and then just win from there. But it can be a massive pain in the ass to actually get that off, especially when Bolt has a turn like this one. Enraged Battle Ox, which is already a decent monster, with Axe of Despair and Lucky Iron Axe. It'll now take our Emez the Infinity at least 2 attacks in order to be able to attack over Enraged Battle Ox, and if he doesn't play monsters, we're not likely to get those. So.
Yeah, the Skyrim two-handed weapon style. Because he's got an Axe of Despair in one hand, he's got the Lucky Iron Axe in the other one.
The thing is, they're different styles of hand axe, though. I mean, the Axe of Despair specifically has a much deeper blade at the top and much thinner blade at the bottom, whereas the Lucky Iron Axe is more or less uniform across. And then, of course, you have Battle Ox, who just happens to have axes. Thankfully, Magic Cylinder will allow us to actually start building our Emez the Infinity. Mwaha.
True that, because 700 plus 2500 is 32.
And Mask of the Accursed will make it so that we will stop losing life points from his Enraged Battle Ox. But just Enraged Battle Ox, because Enraged Battle Ox's effect gives all of his Beast Warriors piercing. So, yeah. I am not a big fan of the Treasures deck, to be perfectly honest. I very rarely actually win this duel, specifically because of this shit. Bolt has got a lot of relatively powerful removal spells in his deck, specifically several copies of Nobleman of Crossout. And with that and the equip spells that he's running, it's very easy for us to not be able to come back when he actually has a board set up.
No, it is nice, finally. You get these monsters that will gradually gain attack power as long as they don't die. And then we go into situations like this where the opponent's not running removal against monsters we put in attack mode. He's not using nasty trap cards that will punish us for using high attack monsters or being aggressive. And we can actually enjoy a couple turns while, wow, there's actually a point to this card having this effect.
Yeah. Mostly because gradual attack increases like this usually end up being, hey, I'm gonna set up my graveyard to the point where I'm gonna just start off with a monster with 5,000 attack points. That okay with you? I am personally a very big fan of that, to be perfectly honest. You know, bringing out monsters that just have huge amounts of stats on them. It's a very easy way to win for me. But yes, we managed to beat Bolt. Yes, a small point about Bolt's character is that he used to be a pro duelist, and then he got thrown into the facility for some reason. And yeah, he was running a copy of Jirai Gumo in his deck as well, but we didn't get to see it. Anyway, now we have to deal with the actual asshole in the facility, Mr. Armstrong. He is an abusive authority figure, so, yeah.
Smuggled magazines. Rita Hayworth.
Specifically Rita Hayworth, in fact, because yeah, the magazines that he's hunting for are supposedly of adult content. Because yeah, we are in an adult prison. A small thing that is somewhat changed about Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds in comparison to the rest of the series is that Yusei, although is definitely still a teenager, a majority of the characters are late teenagers. Like, I think Yusei and another character that we'll meet up later with are specifically 17, and Jack, I think, is 19.
Well, yeah, because you want the characters in the show to have some likenesses to the target audience, which is probably people in their middle to late teens. Hell, I was still watching Yu-Gi-Oh! when I was 17.
Yeah. Now, Jonah and I are thinking of going and rewatching GX eventually, and I'm hesitant to do it because GX is actually relatively long for an anime, you know, with its shonen's structure and everything. Anyway, here we have Mr. Armstrong attempting to show off his mill deck, specifically the mill and Iron Chain, the mill with Iron Chain support on it. And Iron Chain is an archetype that, although tries very hard to be a mill deck, ends up being beat down because of the raw stats that Iron Chain Dragon has got on it. And look, another Nobleman of Crossout, except this time,
yeah,
it affects our Magical Merchant, and we get to look through his deck for Magical Merchants, and he doesn't have any because, of course, he doesn't. Blah. Thankfully, we actually got a monster that we can actually start attacking with. Go, the gallant ninja!
Oh yeah, attack while you can, because the theme of this duel is lockdown, and mind you, at the moment we have 32 cards in the deck because the Gravekeeper Servant mills a card every time we attack, but that also means that if you have no cards in your deck, you can't declare an attack.
Well, if you have no cards in your deck, you just effectively lose, Mr. Cloud.
Right, but, well, you lose during the draw phase. Mm-hmm. You lose when you try drawing cards when you don't have any cards to draw. I just thought it was nice that they're really selling us on this lockdown. They're also really trying to sell us on Nobleman of Crossout, because like you said, this is the second opponent in a row that has used a spell card that has largely fallen out of use in modern Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, completely fallen out of use, because...
Completely fallen out of use.
Now look, Flip Monsters just aren't powerful, okay? It's not Flip Monsters' fault that they aren't powerful, but they aren't powerful, so...
Finally, I have an answer to the dreaded Man-Eater Bug.
Except Man-Eater Bug hasn't seen play in effectively a decade, so...
Damn it. Well,
the thing about Gravekeeper Servant is that, although I am personally a big fan of having a copy of it around against opponents, that doesn't necessarily mean it's actually a good card. Poison of the Old Man, on the other hand, is a fucking great card, and it's honestly one of the best of burn finishers that Burn has ever had. Woot! And so Mr. Armstrong goes back on our deal, but thankfully we get saved by Rex. Hey, Rex.
Rex? Mr. Armstrong, I'm firing you for 2 reasons. 1, you suck at dueling. 2, you're a liar.
Alright, so, after being released from the facility because, well, that Rex pulled some strings to get us out, we are now going to go and do some primes. Haha!
It is, kind of eye-opening how we've, you know, there have been over 100 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Canon by this point. There's no mention of jail. There's no Officer Jenny in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, crime and punishment, right, because we're talking about society, right, crime and punishment.
Tetsu Trudge would actually be 5D's version of Officer Jenny. I mean, he's not as attractive as Officer Jenny, but you know, he is the primary police force, if you will, for this series.
I suppose when you really look at it, Kaiba is the first criminal we find in the Yu-Gi-Oh world because he tore up a Blue Eyes White Dragon. That's destruction of property. That's destruction of property, which is an actionable offense.
Yes, but then we have to remember that Season 0, despite the fact that we're not supposed to know it exists, most certainly exists in the classic Yu-Gi-Oh timeline. So Kaiba is not our first criminal that we end up dealing with. Anyway, we are back to using Yusei's normal deck, focusing on Junk Synchron, so we have the awesomeness that is Scrap Iron Scarecrow. Nice. Tetsu is, for the most part, running a deck that's focused on using Stygian Insurgents and Goyo Guardian. Specifically, Stygian Insurgents at this variant of his deck, and Goyo Guardian in an upgraded version of the deck later.
Oh, and Stygian Street Patrol is going to burn us.
Yeah, just for 2. It's Pursuit Chaser that burns us for 5.
Burn!
Scrap Iron Scarecrow. I misplayed this for the record. I was supposed to use Scrap Iron on the Stygian Street Patrol, but then we got hit by a wiretap. God damn it!
When a trap card is activated, negate the effect, and then put it back in the deck, and then shuffle the deck and make sure you never guess it again. I think Double Summon might be on the table right now.
Double Summon is an interesting play. It's not the one I'm going to do, though. Specifically because I want to save Double Summon for when I've got a tuner that I can use.
But you do have a tuner you can use.
But I don't have another tuner that I can use. I'm already devoted into going into Junk Warrior.
Right. Because Yusei only has... He's got 3 copies of the same 2 synchros, for God's sake. He only has 2 options. Do you want to go into a level 5, or do you want to go into a level 7?
And level 7 requires me to have Nitro Synchron. Hey, Gogongo.
Gogongo.
I know that Gogongo's name is very stupid, but don't diss this monster, because, yeah, Tetsu effectively beats us because of this Gogongo play.
Ooh, that hurt.
Yes.
That hurt even more. That also caused pain.
Yeah, fucking wiretap. I want my Scrap Iron back, dang it.
Ah, what an adorable Sonic Chick.
Yeah, Sonic Chick is one of the monsters that I'm glad that Yusei has, but I really wish it had better defensive stats than it does.
I remember when I tried using Dark Tinker. Oh shit, it's Stygian Sergeants.
Yep, Stygian Sergeants. And then he uses Dark Tinker in order to scry. Ouch. And so Tetsu beat us because he got out his boss monster and used Wiretap on us. We didn't get Turbo Warrior! Yeah!
Well, you know, as much as we harp on how useless the hint system is in this game, it did let slip that he is running Goyo Guardian, which is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, like Turbo Rocket and Turbo Warrior are honestly really cool cards to use. But, like, you're not going to get Turbo Rocket's effect off against Tetsu. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, Anyway, we are actually showing off on accident the starter deck that we start off the game with that I don't think I've done any significant changes to. I think I might have gotten put in slightly better monsters in it at one point, but not significantly. So this is what the starter deck ends up looking like. You get a bunch of normal monsters, you get Firewing Pegasus, you get a bunch of... And one of the big things that the starter deck really wants you to do is specifically have surprise battle interactions with, like, Rush Recklessly, reinforcements, and that kind of stuff.
This looks very much like a deck that I would have built back in the day. Just a lot of level 4
had a bunch
lower
of
monsters
just floating around that no one else wanted.
But I wanted it. I love Horse Raider. I love Gemini Elf. I love that. I love the high status.
We're not running Horse Raider or Gemini Elf, though. We're running Girochin Kuwagata.
Hey, Girochin Kuwagata was a beast. I loved this card growing up.
Alright, Stygian Security. He doesn't have a third one, thankfully, so... Oh, there's his third one. Okay.
Well, I mean, he can still summon a level 1 fiend. He does not have any more level 1 fiends. Though that's his fault. He really should have put in a Grave Squirmer or something.
No, Grave Squirmer very specifically doesn't match up with the themes of his deck. And the real reason he's got Stygian Security in here is because it matches up with Stygian Street Patrol to make Stygian Sergeants. Alright, Girishi Kuwagata, run over the Dark Tinker, and now we have the ability to punch him in the face multiple times, except now he activates Regretful Rebirth in order to bring back his Dark Tinker.
A replay has just occurred. Bottom of the deck was selected.
Yeah, he scribed one and put it to the bottom of the deck. And also, Dark Tinker is not a once per turn effect, so he gets to scry again. Haha.
Nice.
This is the time when card design... Oh, look, it's Pinball. I fucking love this thing. Anyway, this is the time when card design was good enough to where you could actually have relatively powerful effects on cards and not have them be once per turn without having them being broken. I mean, scrying in Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't honestly matter that much. It's a very powerful effect, certainly, but you end up not really utilizing it as much as you want.
Well, the reason why scry as opposed to Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more important in Magic the Gathering, where their keyword comes from, is, like, you have two choices in Magic. Do you want to draw a land card so that you could play spells you have available, but you don't have the mana for, or do you want to exploit the mana you already have on the table with a really powerful spell? And scrying will help you do either of those at your will.
Yeah. By setting up what your top deck is going to be.
The thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Though is that because of its go-go-go nature, you generally want to just draw into cards you can use right away.
Right. And here we have one of my favorite monsters from back when I was running Crystal Beast, Gravy Crush Dragon.
Ah, and look at that. We actually have continuous spell cards that we could send to the graveyard to destroy our opponent's cards.
Yes. Nice. I mean, I probably should have sacked Banner of Courage instead of Supply Squad, but oh well.
I still hold that the lesson here is that if at first you don't succeed, try again and see if your opponent doesn't draw as good of a starting hand as he did the last time when he beat you.
My argument against it is that Yusei's decks for most of the campaign are relatively weak. Here, rush recklessly.
Rush.
And in the next episode, we'll continue on with Season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Be safe, everybody. Also, Yusei gets rescued by Leo and Luna.
The twins.